Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel, and hello to my channel if you're new. I'm sorry I haven't been uploading as much as I was at the start. Some stuff happened in my own life and I kind of just totally ran out of motivation um, for making videos. I've actually had the footage for this one um, ready to go, and it's just that I haven't done the recording for it because I just didn't really know what I wanted to talk to you guys about. But I've decided that I really want to get this video out there, even if it's not edited quite as good as I would like to. Because I think it's a great concept, and what my concept was is, you know, when you're scrolling through like Bookstagram and you always see all those people who've taken like really aesthetic photos of book covers and it just looks amazing. I wanted to recreate that, but I kind of don't have any props for aesthetic photos, especially considering I can't really go out and just go shopping for like aesthetic candles and flower petals whilst in self-isolation. So what I decided to do was I decided to use Pinterest photos and only Pinterest photos to try to Photoshop these covers into books. So the first one we have up here is Fangirl, which, to be honest, when I read this book, I actually really liked it. I've read it so long ago, but I don't really remember I don't really remember what happens in it. I just remembered that I didn't really like the main character, but I somehow still managed to like the book, which is very different from me. But basically, what I'm doing for each cover is I start with a background. In this case, it is bed sheets because I feel like bookstagrams just love to put their books on their bed, which I don't really understand, but whatever floats their boat. And then I'm going to go and I embevel the book cover photograph so that it looks like it's an actual book rather than just a 2D picture, which it is. But I also add a drop shadow. So the effects I'm using is bevel and emboss, which are blending options, and drop shadow, which is also a blending option. And then I'm adding in some flowers on the side, and I'm also adding in just a little teacup to make it look a bit cool. I'm also adjusting the colors a little bit because I feel like the colors weren't matching. If you don't have colors that match, the photo is going to look really unrealistic. Even if you're going for a scrapbooky effect, it just isn't going to meld as well as if you adjusted the hues to either all be warmer, like orangey, yellowy, reddish hues, or cooler, like more towards a blue base. And what you can do to do this is use hue and saturation first of all. If you want more of a unrealistic hue, you can use hue and saturation, or you can use color balance to just write out those colors if you want it to be a little bit more realistic. Because as I'm recording this, I can't actually see where I'm up to in the video. I think I just am adding in the finishing touches of a white pen now. And I just did that to give it more of a scrapbooky effect. You can also notice that I placed a photograph on top of the book. That's once again just to make it seem more realistic, even though it might not actually be that realistic. And next we're doing the book, The Deepest and Darkest Reds. So you're going to see that I once again use the bedsheet photograph and I expand it out so it fits the page. And next I'm going to be adding in some fruit because that's also a prop that bookstagrams seem to like. They seem to really like flowers and fruits. I don't know if that's just because of the colors in them or because they love eating whilst reading. I personally can't eat whilst reading because I feel like I just completely ruin the book and like get the pages all muddy and yucky. But once again, whatever floats their boat. Next, I also add in a Polaroid camera, which you're going to see in a little bit. which basically I just kind of also felt that gave off an Instagram vibe. You're going to see that what I do first is I cut all the images out, so I remove all their backgrounds and I place them whereabouts in the image that I want them to be placed. And then comes all the other stuff like color adjustment, like drop shadows to make it seem like it's fitting into the background. An easy way to make things look like they're fitting into the background, like I'm doing with the camera now, is to cut them out so that the background is slightly on top of it. So I'll make it look like the camera is actually underneath the bed cover. Once again, I'm not going for like a completely realistic look, I'm going for more of a scrapbooky feel. But that's what you're going to see me doing here. I actually haven't read The Deepest Darkest Red before, so I wasn't quite sure what would fit. So for a while I was just playing around with the different options and playing around with what I actually wanted to be in the photo. You'll see that I just kind of move stuff around and see what works. I've been using Photoshop since I was like 7 years old, and I'm still not very good at it. So if you're trying this at home, don't stress out if it's not looking exactly like you want it to straight away. Whilst we're just watching me play around and have fun, I just wanted to update you guys on my NaNoWriMo progress. So right now, it's 3 days until Camp NaNoWriMo ends. If you don't know what NaNoWriMo is, it's basically every April and I think June, there's a Camp NaNoWriMo where you can set your own word count on the NaNoWriMo website of how many words you want to get done that month. I set myself a goal of 30,000 words, and I was writing like over 1,000 words every single day up until about 4 days ago, or maybe up until like a week ago. And then I think just my motivation took a major hit because I thought I was really going where I wanted to, and then I just felt kind of at a loss, and I kind of just lost motivation in my story. And I've still been working on editing my first manuscript and editing my submission guidelines, because I'm going to be submitting to publishers this month, well, the coming month. But it just feels like I'm unproductive because I haven't finished. I literally, looking at my word count, I only have 3,000 more words, and then I'll have finished Camp NaNoWriMo and I'll have done my goal. And I feel like what's going to happen is that the day before, like the very day before NaNoWriMo ends, I'm going to just smash out 3,000, 4,000 words just to get to my word count, which is amusing because I literally am at the end of the first draft of my second novel. I am literally maybe like 4,000 words from the end of it, and I feel like now I'm just lost with my story. Like I know exactly how I want it to end, I know exactly what I should be writing, but like I feel like I'm just doubting myself a lot, and I'm finding that, well, like I just go in it to write and then I think, oh, is this story going where I wanted to, like people are going to enjoy it? And I feel like everyone kind of that writes or does anything creative struggles a lot with the conflict of being your own best critic in terms of, doubting yourself, even if you feel like you've got a good idea of where you want to go. I think, yeah, it's hard to stay motivated. But I am really hoping to smash out that very last bit of Camp NaNoWriMo. I was meant to do the owls this year. I even had, I think I counted The Wine Witch and Coraline as two of my books. So I only had like 3 books to go. But I just found that I haven't been reading as much, mainly because I think, once again, I just lost motivation. I got scared and I lost motivation, and I definitely want to get back into it. I'm going to try to upload at least once a month, and I know that probably doesn't sound like a lot, but to me it's like a doable goal that I'm not going to feel like I'm tiring myself out trying to do it. And I might upload more than that if I do find the motivation, but yeah, definitely at least once a month. and I definitely am going to try to write and read and not just try to give up one for the other, because I don't think that's good anyway. So that's my little ramble done. As you see, going back to the video, as you see soon, what I'm going to do is I take out the big bowl of peaches, because I just felt like it was taking away from the book cover. It just wasn't really fitting in, and it didn't look like it was realistically just sitting there. Like, who has a bowl of fruit just sitting there? Doesn't make sense. And this is the part where I play around with hues. I actually do use just hue saturation for the camera, because I felt that I wanted a more magical, I kind of out of this world color, like a very bright color, instead of something more realistic. And yeah, so I just played around with the brightness to make it look like it fit in with the lighting once again, because as you can see, the light that's actually hitting the sheets of the bed is very, very bright. That is incredibly bright. And then you got those really grayish blue shadows. So I was trying to kind of replicate that in the coloring. And yeah, just playing around with that until you feel like you've got the color that you want and you've got the hue that you want. In terms of selecting backgrounds out, one technique that I can give you is that using the quick selection tool and then using the polygon lasso tool to edit out the parts that were accidentally selected that you didn't want selected is usually how I do it. Either that, or you can actually go into the select little drop box and click select color, and then select the color of the background behind them. If the color of the background's like quite consistent throughout, say it was just like a yellow background behind it, it's so easy to just click the color yellow and then select all of the background and just delete it like that. That's how I did most of them. So yeah, try to find photos that already have a clear background. And you will see that I actually changed the positioning of the rows now, because I felt like it was obscuring from the book, and once again it just didn't quite sit right on the book for me. Like it just felt like it was a bit off. So instead what I did was I duplicated the roses, changed the angles so they looked a bit different, and then I just start embellishing once again with those little scrapbook white lines to make it look a little bit more like I've intentionally made it look slightly unrealistic. I feel like if I didn't have the white lines and it wasn't perfectly realistic, it would come off kind of unrefined. But because you add those lines to it, it makes it look as if it was intentional. If you're wondering how I actually made those lines were created using a Garmin tablet with just a pen stylus drawing tool, which is how I do most of my drawings. Especially if you saw my speed paint earlier, that was also with that tablet, and I actually recommend it. It's very cheap, but it actually works quite well, especially if you're just a beginner and you're not really doing it for professional reasons. The next photo that I really wanted to tackle was that photograph where you have like a pile of books and pages, and you just like have like the one book cover sitting on top of all of these open books. Like, I swear I've seen that photo a million times on Instagram, and I was like, surely there's an easier way to replicate this than actually opening so many books. I actually think that this would look a lot more realistic and a lot better if you were to use different open book images and putting them on top of each other. I'm actually using the same one and just duplicating it and rotating it so it looks slightly different, but you can definitely tell that it's the same book image, just duplicated and warped. And honestly, I just did that because I was really lazy at this point and I just wanted something quick and easy. So you'll see me just turning around the same image, and it works quite well, I think, anyway. But yeah, if I was to redo it, I would definitely edit it so that it had different book images, and that would give it a way more realistic feel. Even if you slightly changed the tone and the color balance of some pages, made it different sizes, stuff like that, and adding drop shadows to the books instead of just having them lay flat like that, you're going to have a way better result than what I did. The book that I'm using for this one was the Guinevere Deception, which I actually haven't read yet either. I would love to. It seems like a really good book, but I feel like some fantasy books just don't do it for me, like specifically if it's very confined to one environment. And I feel like the Guinevere Deception, I might be completely wrong about this, but seems to be really refined to the environment of the castle that she's in. Once again, I could be totally wrong about this. Please let me know if I'm wrong. Maybe I'll actually give it a read considering I edited it. You'll see that I'm adding like a little candle to the corner. I just loved that candle, by the way, because it had amethysts in it and I really wanted that candle in my own house. But alas, I'm going to have to just edit it into my book cover instead. Yeah, so once again, you can see me playing around with the roses. I'm just adding them. I think now I'm going to add them as bookmarkers instead of having them lay on top, because making them lay on top, once again, you have to really make sure that they fit into that environment and they actually have shadow behind them on the book. And I didn't want to have to go for that effort, so I was like, no, you know what, we're going to have them inside the book so you don't have to see the shadow. Once again, just changing the angle of one of those to make it look a bit different. And yeah, I don't know. Once again with fantasy series, I just really love series that instead of just focusing on one character's journey, focuses on several characters' journeys and their friendships and their hardships and focuses more on their relationships. Like, I'm not very much let's root for just one main character type of gal, and I think maybe that's because I have a really low attention span or something like that. But for some reason that's just worked. So anyway, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to that Polaroid photogram thing, because I wanted to add a photo to the front cover of this book. What you're gonna find me do is I take one photograph that I keep calling it photogram, don't I? I have no idea where that's coming from. I take one of the photographs that looks like it could easily be cut out, and then I actually edit the image inside it it's super simple to edit Polaroids because they're basically rectangular square ready. So you just need to get a photograph and you need to use free transform in Photoshop to size the image into the proportions of a Polaroid. It doesn't really have to be exact as long as you have those white borders around it. And then you can easily just merge those layers together and move it on top of wherever you want to go. And then after that, you're just going to see me playing around with colors once again, playing around with the different shadow effects, and just making it all this time, instead of going for like a deep purple or a reddish hue, I'm going to be going for a bluish hue. Just adjusting, certain colors. For example, the stones in a candle, you could make those cyan or turquoise, or making even the image that you place on a Polaroid, which I didn't do. You could even make that just blue in order to tie in the color together. At the moment, I'm finding that the roses definitely look like they're sticking out a little bit, mostly because their color just doesn't match with anything else. And one easier way to adjust that is with hue/saturation. If, once again, you don't really care if they look super realistic. If you did care, I would actually go and get colored flowers that are in the color hue that you want, rather than trying to adjust them in hue/saturation. It's just going to make it easier for yourself. I don't really know why I'm giving this such an in-depth tutorial, because I don't think anyone is going to do this. But if you do want to just see these images completed, you can just head over to my Instagram, which is going to be in the link below, and I've got each of them as a post in my Instagram account. So you can see how they look like just as still images. Once again, I just go over again with the white lines to make it look more like a scrapbook. And yeah, just enjoy watching me do that. I've enjoyed having a chat with you guys, even if you guys is just one of you who's managed somehow to make it to the end of this video. If you have, thank you, that's awesome. I feel like I should say something to like reward you for reaching the end, but I have no idea what to say. But if you reach the end, maybe subscribe and you might catch one of my videos one day. That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, hope you guys have a genuinely good day. See you next time.